Hi, this is Jamey from Stonemaier Games, and I'm here today to talk about my favorite game mechanism in Euphoria, Build Better Dystopia. You may know that this is a game that I designed and published, so this isn't a review. I normally wouldn't talk about my own game this way, but I'm really excited because just a few minutes ago I got the advanced copy for the second printing of Euphoria from Germany. We work with a company called Morning Players in France that is in charge of the European production of Euphoria now. They were at Essen and they've done a great job with translating the game into German, Czech, and French so far. And Ludofact, a very well-known manufacturer in Germany, is manufacturing the game for them, including a number of American English copies that will be selling here in the States in like January, hopefully early January. And so I'm really excited to get it. Like you can tell the box is a little different. Well, maybe you can't tell. If you own the game, the coloring around the box is a little different. There's a Morning Players logo down here. This is actually the British version, but the American version will have the big Mensa logo on here that shows that we were a Mensa Select game in 2020. They gave it to us this year. I guess it's 2014. But so I'm excited to get this. I'm going through all the bits in the game, and I wanted to talk about my favorite mechanism in the game, which is the idea that your workers can be bumped by your own workers or other players' workers. And what I mean by bumped is, in Euphoria on your turn, you're doing one of two things. You're either placing a worker, a little die, you're either placing that on the board, or you're retrieving as many workers of your own type as you want from the board. And so basically what's important, well, the reason I'm telling you that is that it takes time, it takes a turn basically to get your workers back. And so if you have another way of getting workers back, you save yourself a turn and you can be more efficient. And there are a couple ways you can do that in the game, but the key way is to place your workers on actions. Let's see if I can find one. So there's an action space right here that has a dotted line around it and an arrow. And what that means is if you have one of your workers on that action space, on a future turn, you or any other player can place their worker there. So they're not blocked from that action. But in doing so, you get to take back your worker right away and roll it, and thus have a worker available the next time it becomes your turn, so you can have that worker to place. I really like the decision points involved in this. So the part of the decision is to place workers in those spaces in the first place, and the other decision is if another player's worker is on one of these bumpable spaces, these action spaces, if you really want that action, is it worth you bumping their worker back to them, or should you wait for a future turn when they don't get a free worker back in that same way? And so when I was designing the game, I had that in mind. That was definitely my intention. I'm proud of that. There was something that happened unintentionally through this that I didn't quite realize. Euphoria is a game that plays 2 to 6 players, and typically for a game that spans up to 5 or 6, you're adding like 20 minutes per player when you get up to that range. That's the case in Viticulture. A game of Viticulture with 2 players might last 45 to 60 minutes, but a game with 6 players can go upwards of 2 hours, even if everybody knows how to play. But in Euphoria, the game actually stays almost the exact same length no matter how many players you have, because the more players you have placing workers on the board, the more players you also have bumping each other's workers off the board. So it speeds up the whole game where you're using fewer turns to retrieve workers and more turns just to place workers. So you're getting more stuff more often because there are more players and more workers out there. So I kind of stumbled upon that. I didn't really realize that was happening as I was designing the game, but I've been really pleased with that throughout the evolution of, I guess over the last year. The game's been out for about a year now. Seeing people discover that when they get the game up to 5 or 6 players, they're not adding an extra hour of playing time. So I'm curious in the comments, there are a couple other games I know that use this mechanism of bumping workers off the board. There's one on Kickstarter this past summer called, I think, Trobils, Trobils. It's a game featuring the color orange. And the Manhattan Project, I think, uses something kind of similar. I haven't played it yet. I have the copy on my shelf. I'm really looking forward to playing it, but I haven't played it yet. So I'm interested in other games that use this mechanism or that do things so that even when you add more players, it actually can end up speeding the game up a little bit. So let me know in the comments if you have any of those ideas or suggestions for other games. Thanks.